Jim Molan's talking about the hopelessness of our Defence Force. And I have zero faith, no faith, 100% not a chance that any of the major two governments that we have, doesn't matter, Liberal, Labor, they're both screwed us. They've had decades and decades to set our Defence Force up so it's capable, strong, and a good solid deterrence. And instead, they've absolutely gutted us from the inside out. So much so that I won't even go there, but it looks like they're almost working for the enemy, or they're the enemy on the inside, because we've been under America's umbrella for what, 70 years now, thereabouts. So we should have saved so much money on defense from being under the American umbrella that we should have an extremely strong defense force, and it should have been ready now. We should have had submarines ready to go. They should be in the water now, not in some pipe dream they're gonna be ready in 20 years time. What the hell is, who's in charge of this? Why aren't heads rolling? Why don't the Australian people, they're so in the dark with their heads in the sand, why can't they see what's going on? Or what's wrong with this place? How can you not see that we're on the road to war, and it's been happening in front of our eyes? I don't have any special contacts anywhere. I see the same news as everybody else, and it's plain as day, and it has been for ages. I just can't understand how I can see it, and people who know better, or should know better, can't see it. And I have little debates with people online all the time in comment sections and on videos, and they tell me that I got no idea. The Australian Defence, they'll try and say that I'm not a professional, they are in a professional force, and blah 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 blah. They're experts. Well, okay, we got what, 115 odd combat aircraft, right? There's 4 of them in red flag event now, or whatever. What happens when we come up against a peer adversary? Like, okay, or better than peer. So, say the China, okay? Now, pretty much most of the world's military and air force and navies have all sorts of ballistic missiles, long range capabilities. And what's Australia got? Nothing. Okay, we got absolutely nothing. Oh, but we've got joint strike fighters, and we've got growlers, and we've got air tankers and wedge tails and things like that. You know, or we'll spot a missile or a plane. Well, what happens if they send volley fire ballistic missiles with the aim of destroying our runways? They don't even have to hit any of our planes. They can just smash our runways. To bring civilian contractors in there to fix that. You know, look at our building codes, our safety, and our unions, and what they've done to our nation as well. They've made it so expensive to operate, like to build anything, to get anything done. Look at the amount of safety walks and all the hazards involved with slips and falls. If it rains, they've got to have a safety walk. Well, what happens if it rains down ballistic missiles? Are they going to have safety walks and red tape like you wouldn't believe? And oh my god, we're going to have to look at this, and oh no, it's too dangerous to send our guys out there, and we're just so far behind the 8 ball. We have almost no infrastructure. We have no strategic infrastructure. We basically hardly any fuel. We got hardly any weapons. Stocks. I've heard all sorts of rumours of we got enough to fight a battle, maybe 2, and that's about it. If we lose some planes, or we use up our ammunition or our smart bombs shooting down balloons, what if they send over tens of thousands of balloons and little drones, little bobbing canisters in the water, and we just got to start shooting millions and millions of dollars worth of per missile at these little balloons that cost thousands of dollars versus millions of dollars for a missile. And they send swarms of them. Okay, how do we replace all of that stuff? We've got to wait for it to be made. We've got to wait for it to come from Europe or to come from America. And when's that going to get here? We've given everything to Ukraine, and our suppliers have given everything to Ukraine, and they're still building more to give to Ukraine and to restock themselves. Like, where's our industry? We can't manufacture anything over here. So what I'm getting at is we need to. I've got no faith in the military. I've got no faith in our government. I've got no faith in our manufacturing capabilities right now, and I've got no faith that our military, our defence force personnel will be able to fight and survive. And when you've only got a tiny population with a massive, massive landmass, with our tiny, tiny little population, we need every person we can get, okay? And just because we may have, I don't know what it is, 1 million, 1.5 million guys and girls of fighting age, how many of them are fit? How many of them are going to be mentally prepared to do it? How many of them don't have preconditioned injuries or, eyesight problems or other things like that? So of that 101.5 million, how many of them are actually going to be ready to fight? And how long is it going to take them to fight? What's the post-traumatic stress going to be for those individuals when they come back, or on the other side, if they make it back? How many of those are going to be killed, and how quickly can we replace them? Where are all the boots, the uniforms, the clothing, the helmets, and the guns and the ammunition, and where is all this going to come from, and how long is that going to take to get here? Because I'm pretty sure that our enemies would be sitting on stockpiles of missiles. They're already geared up to produce. They don't have to wait for weapons to come from halfway around the world. Our adversaries make their own weapons. So they'd have stockpiles, and they can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, their labour is a lot cheaper than ours. All of these things just compound and compound and compound the problem. We need to address this, and letting Labor or Liberal or any of our governments and military, obviously military as well, look what they do with all of the money they get. They buy the most expensive thing possible. Sure, it might be good, but you don't have many of them, do you? What happens when they get broken down, or what happens when we lose them? How do we replace those? When they're so expensive, so technically advanced, they take a long time to produce. Like, who are these people in charge of? They've let us down. I have no faith in them. So what I'm getting at is, everyday Australians, we got to start talking amongst each other. Whether there's me and you, we have to take care of this problem ourselves, because no one else is going to do it. We've been paying people. Our tax has been. I just paid over nearly $900 in tax this week for no defence force, for no capability. So obviously, if weekly I'm throwing away hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it's just getting going up in the air through corruption and red tape and just absolutely hopeless, useless government and government agencies, we may as well be doing it ourselves. Us older guys, we're going to have to be the ones doing shit. We're going to have to do this off our own backs, because we've been sold out. So I'm asking people, what can we do? Because we can do it. I've got plenty of ideas, plenty of plans, but it's not about me. It's about, I'd like to see in comments what can be done. Think outside the box. Look what China's doing with these balloons. Sending balloons up, and apparently Russia's doing it in Ukraine now too. Sending balloons and cheap weapons or cheap decoys up in the air, and we're throwing millions of dollars worth of missiles at them, at these cheap little things, and they can swarm them in. You know, they only have to arm 1 in a dozen, 1 in 2 dozen, and it means that we have to keep shooting them down. What happens if the drones or these balloons now become driftwood in the ocean, and then one blows up, one gets into a port, or one blows up, it damages a vessel? Then we have to start shooting all of them. All of our resources get tied up chasing tails, you know. This is where I see I'm just going to come straight out, a national service. But I don't want a government national service, because they're going to absolutely fuck it up. They're going to whinge and argue and fight and bicker amongst each other in Parliament. Nothing will ever get done. Okay? I don't believe a militia is the right word, but it's basically exactly what I'm talking about. Some type of volunteer, strategic, national defense thing. It's not about guns, having machine guns at home and things like that. It's about people understanding, having a plan, having a strategic plan. And there's better minds out there than me, ex-retired special forces, ex-logistics people, because it's logistics that win wars. We know that good equipment and good soldiers win battles, but it's the logistics that win the wars. We need to be able to say, if we're going to have boots on the ground people, we need vehicles, we need fuel, we need equipment, we need the ability to get out there and search. We need the ability to communicate with each other, get together and go to the hotspots that need the patrolling. We need aggressive patrolling, whether that's fishermen out on the water. It should be subsidised. We don't want the government. We've got a full-time defence force. Their full-time job is to do this. We want volunteers who are willing to sacrifice some of their spare time, sacrifice some of their fun, some of their downtime, their hobbies, their holidays. Make this part of your hobby. Make this, you know, go on your fishing trip if you live up north. Go on your fishing trips in your boats. Do your trolling, but your eyes are open if you see anything suspicious. You know, it's not dob on your neighbour. This is dob on a international threat. Okay, yeah, we have to do something. I'm just trying to start a conversation. If I can get 1 or 2 people out there to go to work and then talk about not what I'm talking about, make your own conversations. We've got to grow up. We have to do this ourselves again. You know, it's like when the floods are on. We got to go out there and help our neighbour. You know, Queensland's down 6 points, 2 minutes to go. You know, this is where we come together and we just pull something out of our ass. This is what we got to do, because we can't rely on the government, can't rely on the military, the defence force. They're just corrupt. They're just, who knows what, they're not looking after us. So anyway, I'm going to make more videos, hopefully better. This is just off the cuff. Haven't planned it. I'm just pissed off. Okay, please watch this. Watch the video with Jim Molan. I'll put it in the description. Thanks, guys.